Hi guys, so I've just now finished Schubert complete chronological works. So that means I've done Bach, Mozart, Beethoven, and Schubert. I've listened to their complete works chronologically, including like fragments and where there's like bits and pieces that have been found and kind of where people have orchestrated them. But yeah, so I mean the words that come to mind for with Schubert's complete works are melancholic. There's like a darkness to them, but amazing ability with melodies. One of the greatest they ever. I mean, him and Mozart, like, I was a bit. There was a lot of pleasant surprises, and unexpected things in his complete works. Like I didn't know he did so many operas. I wasn't aware of that. I mean, some bits of them are, decent, not like amazing. Like it's not. There's not going to be anything in terms of opera that would ever come close to like Mozart's operatic music. But in terms of smaller, like what you would call like sort of chamber pieces and like with piano, Schubert's incredible, and obviously famously with the Lieder, is that how you pronounce it? The German word for song, which Schubert's considered one of the greatest ever, if not the greatest, for Lieder. Yeah, I could crack a terrible joke that he's a leader in Lieder. Terrible. One of the an issue I have with the Lieder is that not speaking German, then I obviously unless I read a translation of the lyrics of the words, I'm just listening to the music. I mean, the music itself, the melodies, the harmonies in the songs are amazing, beautiful. But it'd be great to. I think it would add hugely to the experience to actually know what they're singing about. I mean, I know he covers quite a lot of kind of more melancholic topics, despair, loneliness, and sort of darker things. But no, I'm really glad that I did it. Actually, it's pretty amazing now that I can actually say that I've listened to everything that we have, that survived, because someone like Bach, quite a lot of stuff didn't survive. Less of an issue with the other guys, but obviously with Mozart and Schubert, they bloody went up and died so young, like, which is, don't even get me started on that. Like, that's one of the biggest tragedies ever, or maybe the biggest tragedy in music. Well, Western classical music, Mozart and Schubert dying so young, especially Mozart. But I mean Schubert as well. Like, I mean, Schubert's not so far behind. I mean, in terms of absolutely, the most kind of spellbindingly, achingly beautiful melodies, Mozart's on top. in terms of like melancholic, kind of poetic, kind of dark, brooding, um, like intense but sort of sparse music, Schubert. Then obviously, you know, it's not as if Bach and Beethoven were slouches. You know, like, to be honest, I'm probably being quite sort of unkind. Well, kind of a bit unkind to Bach and Beethoven because like I have this. I think it probably comes down to it's kind of like who's best at coming up with a tune kind of thing, or you know, like a melody. You know, something you can kind of grab hold of that way. With melodies, yeah, most certain Schubert, but all the see the kind of more the like very technical stuff, like obviously, you know, the way people talk about Bach, it's almost like a sort of scientist of sound, like a mathematician, like kind of genius in terms of you know layering things, putting it all together. But I can appreciate it, but I believe there's a whole depth to someone like Bach, and also to Beethoven. But I would say, especially with Bach, there's probably like there's a depth that I probably haven't fully appreciated because of I don't have the kind of the music theory or kind of technical knowledge. Like I read a book on Bach. Well, actually, now I've read a book on all of them apart from Schubert. I need to do that someday. But reading about Bach's music, like, was like amazing. Like, even though a lot of it I didn't actually on like a music theory level, I didn't really kind of understand it. The guy who wrote it is a conductor, and like you know he goes into very sort of technical stuff. But even though I didn't understand all of it, it still gave me a more of an appreciation and a kind of a depth, an extra level of depth with Bach. Beethoven, obviously, absolute genius. When I was much younger, Beethoven was kind of like he was my man, like. And you know, the thing is, those kind of geniuses, like those kind of artists with timeless, you know, with timeless music, like what Beethoven has. You don't. It's not that it's not like you get sick of it or bored. It's nothing like that. You just at different times in your life, you might get into different periods of their music. Um, I would say that his late string quartets is something I'm going to probably get more and more into, and his later piano sonatas as well. Um, I mean, yeah, there's no point going into like who's better, who's best, or whatever. If you were only allowed to spend the rest of your life listening to the music of Bach, Mozart, Beethoven, and Schubert, you would still have quite a pleasant uh, rest of your life. Like especially if you're a music fan and a classical music fan. So yeah, there's no point getting into all that like who's better, who's the best. There, it's four geniuses, and all Germanic, you know, German, Austrian, but Germanic, you know. That's which is interesting. I wonder if anyone's ever written a book or an essay on that. Intriguing, but yeah, Schubert's complete works completed it tonight. Been listening to it. The past, I think about 6 weeks or maybe more. Incredible. Incredible. I mean, he died at 31. Ridiculous. Ridiculous. Don't even get me started on that. Like all the great music that we never got to hear because he died so young. And Mozart died at 35. I mean, come on, like, ridiculous. Ridiculous.